A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. The purpose of today's lesson is to incorporate sight word fluency into Quranic reading instruction. This is the second lesson for Quran teachers. The first one was about the neurological processes needed to decode phonemes, and this one is more about automaticity. Automaticity means that we recognize a word in 3 seconds or less. Whereas before, with the decoding of the words, that may be a time where you would see the students struggling more. In this case, when you're looking for automaticity, everything should become automatic. So not all words are going to be automatically read, but we can find the words that should be automatically read in this book, 80% of Quranic words. And in this book, the words are listed by category. There's lots of categories of words here. And the point of this book is that 500 words make up 80% of the Quran. So if a student learns those 500 words with automaticity, their reading fluency when they're reading the Quran will improve greatly. So in order to start building reading fluency, we have to first do an evaluation. And if we want to do an evaluation, we have to have an idea of something to compare to. So we can use these norms to compare our students' scores. So what we do is just to get a list of words from this book and have students read them for 1 minute and see how many they can read. And then compare it to this list. So according to Hasbrook and Tyndall, a first grader at age 6 would read 53 words per minute. A second grader at age 7 would read 89 words per minute, and so on until you got to about 6th grade or age 11, where a child could read about 150 words per minute. Now, these norms are developed from students reading English, and it would be a great thing if we could have some norms developed for a child learning to read in Arabic. I don't know of any, but that would be a great research project if somebody wants to develop those. Meanwhile, I think this can just be used as a general guide. You can also look up on the internet for Hasbrook and Tyndall norms. Each year the norms vary just a little bit, but you can get more detailed charts that would tell you, for example, if you're only working for first graders, which first graders are, for example, performing below average and need to practice a little bit more, and which ones are performing above average and could maybe be challenged to have a few more sight words. So after you do the evaluation, you want to start doing some strategies to help build the fluency. So I came up with a list of 5 strategies. The first one is called repeated reading. And repeated reading should come naturally when reading Quran because they usually tell you to use some poems. And since the Quran is already very poetic, it incorporates lots of elements of poetry such as rhythm and rhyme. You just want to use a surah that the child already has memorized, but have them follow along with their finger while they're reciting it. Well, if they do that repeatedly, they will start to recognize some of those sight words. The second strategy is just to play a lot of games. Word searches are a good way to build reading fluency or sight word recognition. This is one word search that you can do. I just folded a piece of paper into 16 squares and I put 4 sight words on here. We have hum, antum, anta, and hiya. And the rest of the words are those 4 sight words scattered. So you can have the students, for example, color anta blue, antum orange, hum green, and hiya yellow. That's a really good one for younger kids. If you have some older kids, you can get some of these vis-a-vis pens, different colors, and put maybe a short surah or a piece of Qur'an, a page of copy from the Qur'an in a plastic sleeve. And then they could circle, for example, antum in black, like that. And maybe another one would be la, and la would maybe be in green, and so on. So that's word search. We talked about bingo. For bingo, what you would do is just have the child hold a piece of paper so that you get 16 squares for each way. And then you would give them a list of sight words, and they would write words from that list, one in each box, randomly. They shouldn't just copy them in order. They would decide where to put them. And then you would call out the word. They would read it, find it, recognize it on their page, and put a chip on it or color it. And if they got 4 in a row, then they would win. They would say bingo if they were the first one to get 4 in a row. Or you could also play memory. I took some of the words from that book and just blew them up on a copier machine and put them on pieces of construction paper. You can just turn them over like this. And some people you have to have two cards for each word so that the students could match the cards. You could do each set of cards in a different color so that they know, for example, they'd have to pick one blue one or one yellow one. Or if you want to make it more challenging, you could just make them all one color. So they would turn over 2 cards and see if they match. And then they would turn them back over if they don't match. If they did match, they would keep them. That's memory. All right, so the third strategy was spelling words aloud. So you could take some of the words and just put them on a little ring like this so that it's easier for them to keep track of them. And then when they go home or maybe with you, they could just practice. For example, they would just say the letters of the word and then say the word. So for this one, they would say Aleph, Nun, Te, Mim, Antum. Ha, Ya, Hiya, and so on. That would help also to build sight words. The next strategy is flashcard sorting. So they would just look at the words. If they could read it in 3 seconds or less, they would put it in the do know pile. If they maybe have to sound this one out, for example, they're going sh, then they don't know it. They didn't get it in 3 seconds. And they can keep sorting them like that so that they could practice the ones they don't know and get rewarded for the ones that they do know. And the last strategy is just self-monitoring or graphing. So you could have, maybe at the end of the lesson, you saw that the child knew 30 cards in 1 minute, 30 words in 1 minute. They could actually put a date down there and color it in. And studies show that just graphing your own performance actually does help improve in something like, in a skill like sight word reading fluency. So I hope I've given you some ideas for helping your students to build sight word fluency in their Qur'an reading. Inshallah, please visit my website and look for other ideas that you may help you in your Sunday school or Islamic school teaching, and contact me if you have any questions. Assalamu alaikum.